We watch from a world away. We see it all through a screen, don't we? A window in our hands. A portal on our walls. It shows flashes of a land burning. Cities turn to ghosts. Headlines that scroll by. Numbers that climb higher and higher. Narrator. We witness the chaos from the comfort of our homes. It can feel so distant. Narrator. We have the luxury of looking away. Narrator. But lean in with me. Look past the glass, beyond the pixels and the headlines. For every soldier who falls, a universe of pain ripples outward, not as a gentle wave, but as a shock wave that shatters the foundations of a home. It's a private, silent cataclysm that happens behind closed doors, far from the headlines and strategic maps. This pain doesn't just visit. It takes up residence, becoming a permanent, unseen member of the family. The war doesn't end for a family when they receive the news. For them, the war has just arrived. It comes with a solemn knock on the door, with faces etched in practiced sympathy. In that moment, the world stops spinning. Sound drains from the room, replaced by a high-pitched ringing. The life you knew is cleaved in two. The before, a sunlit memory you can no longer touch, and the after, a vast gray territory of grief. A mother is handed a crisply folded flag. It feels impossibly heavy, a weight far greater than its fabric. Her hands tremble, not just from shock, but from a desperate, primal memory of holding her child. This flag, a symbol of a nation's gratitude, feels like a cruel exchange. A nation claims her son as a hero, but all she wants is her boy, whose laughter once filled these now silent rooms. A partner wakes and reaches across an empty expanse of bed. The cold sheets are a daily, physical indictment of absence. It's a space once filled with warmth, with breath, with the quiet comfort of another heartbeat. Now, the silence in that space is a roar. It's the muscle memory of love with no one to receive it. A phantom limb that aches with a loss so profound it feels physical. The grief isn't a grand cinematic event. It's an ambush found in the smallest corners of life. The pair of muddy boots by the door he never got to clean. His favorite mug, sitting cold on the shelf. The half-finished book on the nightstand. It's catching a faint scent on a jacket and collapsing under the weight of a memory so vivid it steals your breath. And so she speaks to him, not to a memory, but to a presence she refuses to let go, whispering to a faded photograph propped against an empty chair. She tells him about the leaky faucet she fixed, a small triumph that feels hollow without his praise. She tells him their daughter lost her first tooth. She whispers the deep, aching sorrow of a life unfolding without its most important witness. I think of Irina in her small apartment. Every Sunday she cooks borscht, her son Alexander's favorite. The rich, earthy smell of beets and dill fills the kitchen, a scent that once meant he would soon be home. She sets the table for two, placing his bowl just so. This is not madness, it is a ritual of devotion. Her kitchen has become a sanctuary, and this simple act is a quiet, powerful defiance. A rebellion against the finality of a telegram, a refusal to let a war erase the love that still simmers on her stove. It is her promise that as long as she is breathing, his place at the table, in her heart, will never be empty. Beyond the trenches and front lines, the war assaults the most innocent among us, the children. Their lullabies have been replaced by the wail of air raid sirens. Playground swings now stand empty. Classrooms turn to rubble. A child learns to hush herself. Silence becomes safety. Her eyes are wide, old beyond her years, reflecting a terror no child should know. Childhoods are stolen moment by precious moment. It's in bombed schools, in hospitals that can no longer care, in families torn apart. The elderly trapped, the mothers sheltering children. Cruelty reaches every corner. This is the indictment of a conflict that steals the present and poisons the future. The visible wounds of war are horrifying enough. We see soldiers with lost limbs, civilians with burn and shrapnel injuries. But there is another injury, deeper, the scars on the mind and the soul. PTSD flinches in traffic. Nightmares replay the day a home was destroyed. A child who stops speaking, a mother who can't sleep, a nation whose air tastes of fear. Healing will take generations, rebuilding homes and the sense of security itself. We cannot separate body from mind. They mend together or not at all. Acknowledging these wounds is the first step toward compassion and healing for a nation. To the leaders of our world, gathered in your halls of power, are you truly listening? Beyond the polished reports, can you hear the symphony of a world breaking? The silence where a child's laughter used to be? Beyond the maps and geopolitical calculations, do you see the children? Do you see Olena, who draws tanks instead of flowers? Or Mykola, who flinches at a closing door? They are not statistics. They are the futures you are gambling with. Every delayed decision is paid for in a currency you will never spend. Human lives. A father's last breath. A mother's silent scream. The time for calculated maneuvering expired with the first shell that fell on a family home. The clock is not just ticking, it is screaming. Every second of inaction writes another name among the lost. The call for peace cannot be scheduled. It must be answered now. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. You hold the keys, not just to negotiation rooms, but to a sunrise without fear. You have the power to silence the guns, to bring people to the table not as adversaries, but as humans. Use that power. Demand a ceasefire. Demand peace. This is not about securing a legacy in history books. It is about securing a future for the living. Be leaders for humanity, not for headlines. A headline fades. The ghost of a life not saved haunts forever. Look past the flags. Look deep into the eyes of the Ukrainian people. In their exhaustion, see your own mother. In their fear, see your own child. In their resilience, see your own neighbor. They are not other. They are us, reflected in the terrible mirror of war. To observe is to be complicit. To watch from a distance is to consent. Your diplomatic tools are full. Do not let them gather dust. Be architects of peace, not chroniclers of war. Be peacemakers, not observers. History is watching, and its judgment is unforgiving. It will not remember your political constraints. It will remember one thing. Did you act? Let this be the moment you are remembered for decisive action, for peace, not for standing by as a nation bled. The choice is stark. A world that values power over people, or one that recognizes our shared soul. It is the most fundamental choice you will ever make. Choose peace. Choose life. Choose humanity. The cries from the rubble are not just the plea of one nation. They are a plea for the very soul of our world, a test of our collective conscience. To fail them is to fail ourselves. Do not let them down. Let this be the chapter where the story turned, where leaders faced with the abyss chose to build a bridge. Let history remember this as the moment you chose humanity. Choose peace. In the midst of darkness, something remarkable continues to shine. Hope. Not a soft hope, but a fierce, unyielding hope. It's in volunteers who risk everything to deliver food and medicine. In murals painted on bombed walls, turning destruction into defiance. The teacher who holds class underground. The neighbor who shares his last piece of bread. The farmer who plants seeds in fields that might be shelled tomorrow. An act of faith. Their small acts woven together create a tapestry of strength. Their spirit is a beacon. Their hope teaches us to be braver, kinder, more compassionate. Help keep that fierce light burning until it leads to peace. We have walked these streets together, felt the grit of pulverized concrete under our feet, and breathed the dust of what were once homes. We have journeyed through the heart of this tragedy, not as distant observers, but as fellow human beings bearing witness to the unbearable. We have looked past the sterile numbers and political rhetoric into the eyes of a father clutching a single small shoe. We have heard the lullaby a mother hums to a child who will never wake up. This is no longer their ache. It has become ours. It is a wound on the soul of humanity, a pain that echoes in the quiet moments of our own safe lives. To see this and turn away is to betray everything we claim to hold dear. We are witnesses now. The stories, the faces, the final whispered words, they are etched into our memory. And to be a witness is to carry a profound responsibility. It is a sacred duty to speak for those whose voices have been silenced forever. In the face of such suffering, indifference is a luxury we cannot afford. It is a moral failing. To remain silent now, to scroll past the images, to change the channel, is to be complicit. It is to tell the world that these lives, these dreams, these families, do not matter as much as our comfort. Silence is the ally of the oppressor, the final betrayal of the oppressed. So we must act. Not tomorrow, not when it's convenient, but now. Your donation is not just money. It is a warm blanket for a shivering child in a makeshift tent. It is medicine for a wounded elder. Your letter to an elected official is not just ink on paper. It is a demand, a plea, a roar on behalf of those who can only whisper. It is the weight of your conscience landing on the desks of the powerful, and you must share these stories. Share them until the names of the lost are as familiar as our own. Share them because in the cacophony of the 24-hour news cycle, attention is a currency, and we must spend it here. Do not let their existence be reduced to a footnote in history. Keep the world's gaze fixed, unblinking on this truth. Do not believe the lie that your single action is too small to matter. Every act of compassion, every shared post, every difficult conversation with a friend is a stone cast into a vast, silent lake. It creates ripples that travel farther than you can ever know, touching shores you will never see, joining with other ripples to become a wave of change. Let us transform that wave into a thundering chorus, a global symphony of voices rising from every city, every town, every corner of the earth. A chorus so loud, so persistent, so full of righteous anger and profound love that it shatters the walls of indifference and political calculation. A chorus that demands not just a pause, but a permanent, lasting ceasefire. A demand for justice, for accountability, and for the long, arduous work of healing to begin. Let every person trapped in this nightmare feel that chorus in their bones. Let them know they are not forgotten. Let them know that across oceans and borders we weep with them, we stand with them, we fight for them. Show them they are not alone. Show the world that humanity remembers its own. We must work for a world where a child's first instinct, when they hear a loud noise, is not to hide. A world where the sky holds the promise of sunlight, not the threat of drones. Where no mother has to identify her child by the tattered remains of their favorite shirt. Where no father has to dig a grave with his bare hands. This is the world we must build. It requires us to come together, setting aside our differences, with hearts broken open and a commitment that is fierce, unyielding, and absolute. The time for debate is over. The time for equivocation has passed. Look at the faces, hear the cries. Demand an end to this slaughter. Choose humanity. Choose compassion. Choose peace. Now.